Welcome to Connections Forum for Relationship, Expression, and Healing. This is episode number 60. The topic for today, the topic for today is the integral creativity as a co-creative tool for the emergence of new paradigms. And we are expecting our special guest, Paula Soares. But Heidi, did you want to tell what's happening there?
I actually don't know what is happening, but Paula, lives in Portugal, and Portugal is 1 hour distant from here, and she didn't show up, and so I presume that she thinks it's 4 o'clock her time and not 4 o'clock my time. So we are still hoping that she will get our messages and comes in, and in the meantime, we thought to do the show ourselves in some way. So first let us introduce ourselves. Margherita, will you begin?
Yeah. So Connections Forums offer single episodes and short series of talks, such as relationship issues, personal expression and self-development, and as well as healing of these areas. And the purpose of our shows is to give you inspiration and also teach you new skills which to handle the issues which are connecting with our topic. You can watch all our replays on our website, Hangout on Connections. I am Margherita Crystal Lotus, an intuitive mentor, healer, author, creative artist, and consciousness explorer from Sweden, which is my home country. I help stressed, overwhelmed professional women overcome emotional turmoil and recover their authentic self. And I do this work via online program or at Enchantment, which is a private healing retreat I created here in Kingston, Ontario. Yeah, that's in Canada, where I live. I use my studies in math and chemistry to make sense of the intricacies of healing and using crystal tools, which is my passion. I absolutely love seeing clients thrive and flourish when they see the gift of healing in their life. And my website is thecrystallotus.com. Now over to you, Heidi.
Yeah, I'm Heidi Hörnlein, or Adelheid Hörnlein, and I'm living here in Italy with my husband Mark, who I invited to be here with us for today. We have a retreat too, and we are doing relationship retreats and growing up, waking up, showing up, cleaning up methods and tools which we teach to our clients. I am a transformational coach and relationship counselor and a voice coach, voice teacher, classical singer. I was, at least. I don't know if I have much voice left. Anyway, that was another life. And now I'm a hangout host here together with Margherita, or on Wednesdays together with Mark, the Wisdom Factory, as you see here also on the higher and lower third. And please join us and subscribe for our newsletter, thewisdomfactory.de, and you get a special gift, a wonderful iBook. And as today the topic is a little bit about integral, I asked Mark to join us as we didn't see Paula. But I would like to read a little bit about Paula, because we got to know Paula about 2 years ago in video chats about Integral in the preparation of the Integral conference in Budapest, and then we met her live in Budapest last year. And I also did several hangouts with her in the past about the feminine in Integral, and so I would have really appreciated today that she talked about her way of doing, because it's really a feminine way. She is a professor at university, but she is trying to introduce a different way, not the masculine study way. This is part of it too, but introduce feminine means of teaching, of education, of learning. So I think we will postpone the episode and do it another time. But in the meantime, I read to you, or do you want to read that, Mark?
Well, I got to do something here.
What her what her statement is.
This is what you...
Yes.
Okay.
What she is writing.
Writing about creativity. This is from Paula Soares. Humanity and the planet Earth are going through major changes. Time has come to co-create new structures that serve both the evolution of consciousness of humanity and the respect and protection of humanity's habitat, the planet Earth. Integral creativity can be seen as a co-creative tool for the emergence of new paradigms, as it has as its GPS the aqua matrix that unfolds the possibilities of change.
We will talk about that later and explain what that
means.
Yeah,
there's some things we need to define, expand on here. Well, anyway, possibilities of change into multiple perspectives, multiple dimensions, multiple layers. Humanity's knowledge of the aqua matrix widens possibilities of connectiveness and evolution. And there are many ways to enact integral life practices. Integral creativity is a manifestation of one of those paths. Remembering Friedrich Schiller's
Spieltrieb, this is
Spieltrieb, German, or ludic impulse that inhabits the human being, and bearing in mind the essence of the creative life impulse that inhabits all living creatures. Creative expression is at the core of expressing life itself. Integral. Yeah,
I can continue.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Integral creativity is a co-creative tool that can be applied to all areas and all quadrants as an evolutionary tool for self-development. For instance, creative diaries, creative dance, creative voice, etc. As an evolutionary tool for co-creating new we spaces, like in a World Cafe, collective creative expressions, harmonic tempo, etc., and as well as an evolutionary tool to discover and to promote new systemic approaches, from hierarchy to holarchy.
Wow.
Wow, yeah, we will talk about that afterwards. I want to talk about her because she has a long list of projects and also of merit. She is a professor at the Department of Visual Arts and Design at the School of Arts of the University of Évora in Portugal. And she's a researcher at TIAC, Center for Research in Arts and Communication at the University of Algarve in Portugal. She holds a transdisciplinary PhD on creative processes and levels of consciousness.
Okay.
Do you want to continue?
Well, was that enough?
She is a member of the knowledge community, co-creator of the Academia of Sophia project.
And yes.
This is a long list of what she is doing, what she has already accomplished, and what she is still about to do.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to really have her online next time, and we need to make sure that the time zones don't interfere.
Okay.
Can I ask a question here, Heidi and Mark? Would you just first briefly describe what is integral theory?
Well, it's just a theory of everything. It's a theory that includes everything. Every belief system, every period of history, every phase of human development, whether our inside selves, our we self, our microscopic look at the world scientifically self, or all of this huge infrastructure that supports all this modern life around us. It's an integrated, integrative, integral view of all of these things.
Of all what is.
Of all everything that is. I mean, Ken Wilber, who is the great proponent of this theory, labels his introduction book a theory of everything. That's all, you know? And in some respects, it really, really is. There are other theories, too. It's a matter of which one is the most inclusive. And as far as I can tell, the Ken Wilber's integral theory is the most inclusive. It includes all the contradictions. It explains the contradictions. It explains the violence. It explains the lack of understanding, the endless struggle that mankind, and actually all of animal life, all of plant life, the very universe itself has gone through in evolving through periods of confusion into new organizations, you know, from molecular life right up to, you know, the planets and the solar system and the Earth, and then the microscopic life and the more complicated life, each giving rise to eventually greater, more complex, inclusive kinds of life, until finally at the very tippy top.
That's you.
Oh, sure. All of that work. What, 14 billion years, and what do you get? Me, you know. So that's integral theory.
Yeah. So when you were introducing the topic here, you mentioned something called the we space.
Yeah.
Can you describe what that is?
We all have our individual lives, the lives within our heads, our own thoughts, feelings, histories, difficulties, conflicts, things we love, things we don't like at all. And if we were, you know, living by ourselves in this world, we could, who knows what we might come up with. But we don't live by ourselves. We live with other people in a society, and we have to live somehow with them. Even if we don't like them, we still have to be with them. You know, a child is born into a family, does not get to choose its family as far as I know, but somehow has to fit in. And the family is a unit, a we space. It's not just me, me, me. It's me and my brothers and my sisters, my mother and my father, my grandfather, my cousins, and blah, blah, blah. And we somehow get along and usually don't kill each other. Once in a while we do, but usually we do not. Mm-hmm. And that is because we have some kind of commonality of what life is about and how we should live, you know, that rules and controls, you know, what kind of behaviors we come to learn are okay. So
yeah, and I would like to add that we spaces can be of very different kinds.
Yes.
What we are talking lately about we spaces, which are for mutual awakening, as we had Patricia Albert talking about in the Wisdom Factory about last week, I guess. Yeah. This is a special kind and a very wonderful we space. But there are many different kinds of we spaces, and depends on the common rules and the common values which are there, and the common attitude to what is happening. For instance, I'm always saying, for instance, the war, the Second World War, began by a certain sort of we space, because people in this space said, yes, we want the war. This was also we space, but maybe not the best one, you know. So there can be a we space in every party. And, you know, there are different kinds of we spaces, and some have the potential to evolution, to create something new, and some have only the keeping every time the same. Old, same old, same old, same old, and so they don't have the creativity aspect, but the repetition aspect. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
So when you're talking about this, so I'm seeing it's like we and them. There is many we instead of me. We have several different groups of we categories, and as I understand from actually hearing you talking about the integral theory, there is like some very levels of development for each person or each group, let's say. And that's interesting to me, because I'm using you know, the chakra system with the, you know, the basic necessity, and then the heart space, and then the levels of consciousness. So I also understand that there is methods or technologies, as you call them, to actually develop ourselves further. So can you talk about that, the tools for each of these groups?
Well, I think this is the sort of thing that Paula is really, well versed in, So we may learn more about this next week. But I would say that some of the sort of things that help create this we space are simply at a certain point in our development, we really do get tired of conflict. We can see that maybe there's some life that's possible without ego running the show. Not that ego disappears, but it just becomes a characteristic of who we are. It's not the selfish, driven aspect of ourselves.
Me.
Me. Yes. Okay. But we go through an awful lot of me's before we get to a we. And so there are different kinds of we spaces depending on what level we're at. But the kind that we're really looking at now are the evolutionary edges of this we space. And it comes out of the evolutionary edges in ourselves, and what are we able to see? What vision do we have? Also, what kind of pain do we feel in being separated from other people, and how difficult that is? How we want to avoid that, because it's a terrible kind of loneliness and bitterness and just I guess I'm going to just say it's such a and so these methods of getting together, of following some rules, for example, about how to interact, and with skill and persistence, something can emerge. And for example, well, we're a couple, and we share a similar worldview. We've studied, we've gone through various aspects of self-development, and this is the fruit of it, We can sit on the couch in the evening and start talking with absolutely no predisposed end of the conversation. There isn't any point one of us has to make. We're not just waiting for the other to shut up so we can say what we want to.
Yeah.
We're actually a conversation, a new
co-creative conversation
that did not exist before. And when we come together in that way, we discover things in ourselves that we never knew were there.
Yeah, it is true. I wanted to say there are other we spaces in which are ruled. For instance, when we talk in spiral dynamics, the blue level of development, there are quite strict rules about what is right and what is not right. And inside this community, let's say, inside this level, communities can exist and even give you the feeling of being part of.
Oh yeah.
This is a wonderful place to be. And even in the next stage, there can be sort of communities of the achievers.
Yeah.
we are good, and so we stay together in a conference, and we are, empowering each other in some way, because I'm better than you anyway. But there is a sort of an understanding of we. But we are always talking about the next levels, where the we is a place of mutual understanding and mutual empowerment and mutual creativity, I would say.
Yeah, I would like to get back to this creativity aspect, because this is really the magic part of the we space. That when we are in this egoless space, not where we disappear, we're still our personalities and so forth. But we're not being driven in the same way that we once were. And so we can allow the other's vision to enter into us, and we can intermix, and something new comes out of that.
And this is the good thing what you said. We can allow to listen to the others. And even if we have a different idea, we don't have to say it immediately, but first listen and see what the other has to say and from what angle she is coming, and then we have the possibility, to really with open mind to accept that and see what has it to do with my position, and maybe my position can change because I get better arguments or whatever it is. I get better insights, greater insights, And this is what I would call a creative conversation, in which I like immensely.
It's absolute magic when it happens. Yeah.
New insights.
This is a very interesting aspect, because if something's going to survive, it has to be cultivated and be inclusive and inviting other we spaces or other groups that are simply on similar level or on lower level, so that they also can attain what the higher level is, right? And with these gradations, how does other people perceive it, like the people who are higher up in the hierarchy, and what does the lower people in the lower hierarchy, how do they feel with each other? Can you talk about that?
Well, I think we mentioned that there are we spaces for each level, and they vary a great deal. But there's always been points in history, no matter what the level of development, where people have felt connected with one another. The big difference is that at the lower levels, it's a very small circle that they feel connected to. Just the family, just the clan, the tribe, the neighborhood.
I was thinking about the football.
Oh yeah, yeah. Then go up further. Our football club. Ours. And this it's not necessarily terrible or anything of the sort. It can be, because that kind of footballer energy, when not controlled, can just run amok in a community, turn into a mob, or even more into an army. Yeah. But each level can do that. Has something. We strive for this kind of connection with others. And depending on how developed we are, will determine what kind of togetherness we will have, what kind of...
Yeah, and what I understand, Margherita, I don't know if I understand you right, the question is, when you are, let's say, in a higher level of development, and how do you see the people in the lower level, and vice versa? Mm-hmm. Is it that? Yeah. I think people in lower levels of development, they just cannot see anything higher than them, because they just are not awakened to a broader perspective. Mm-hmm. Their view is like this, and you can imagine growing up like going from here to here to here to here, and at the end you have a sort of circumspection, and like Ken Wilber's theory of everything. It's like a view from above.
Yeah.
There is a lovely word in German. You say you cannot see the wood because of the trees. That's what we normally do. We see single trees, but we cannot see that it's altogether a wood. But if you look from up, you see that it's a wood. It is consistent of single trees, but it's also confined. After the wood is something. A forest, you say, not wood. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, forest is fine.
Forest, yeah.
Okay, we have a comment from Jeremy Murphy, and he says, hashtag listening at the very deep level is hashtag magical, and perhaps more importantly, hashtag transformational. It changes everything. Thank you for that.
Those are good choices of words, Jeremy, because it is magical. And this is something that at a kind of modern level we don't indulge in anymore. That's childish stuff. But, there's a level beyond, and I hope that that we're there, so we can kind of be re-enchanted with all of these possibilities, and not have to depend upon rationality and reasonings and probability and mathematics and hardware.
But many of the people in the world still have to go there to go to a rational worldview and see the world, from a rational perspective, and can really make decisions on a rational way. It's not always the best thing, but at least it's a part of a good decision to be able to think it through. And lower levels, let's say the first 4 levels, are not able to do that, and we have to think about it. And about 70% of the world population is in these levels where they have not yet reached a fully functional rationality. And if you are very sincere, often we are not there using that either,
That's the magical part of it, though, because once we've gone past rationality, we can use rationality where it's appropriate, just as we can use traditional understandings of right and wrong, or we can use our rebellious energy, or we can use our tribal feelings of solidarity. All these things are possible. You can't reach up past where you are, but you can reach down.
And this is the other answer to you, Margherita, because when you are in a higher level of development, you have gone through all the other levels, so you are familiar with them. And when you are seeing people stuck in the warrior, in the egocentric place, you know, oh, they are there. Okay, I cannot expect more than that from them. I have done often in my life the error. I was in the green.
Oh, this is one of the errors.
Multicultural development, and I thought everybody is like me, and I was friendly and gave away things, and sort of expecting that people would treat me in the same way, and I found out they don't. I mean, somebody will, but somebody who is not in the same level as me, they would not. And I found people here in my house, and they began to steal, and instead of saying thank you that you give me the chance to be here for no money, and that I had to learn that. So theoretical, and you learn it by practice, you can understand that they are at a different level, and your expectation that they are like you are just not justified. You must reduce your expectations. Or the other people, for instance, who are in law and order and right and wrong, you were there too, and you were so sure that this is right and this is wrong. Now you are not so much anymore in a higher level of development. Like Socrates says, the only thing I know is that I don't know. This is coming. But in the traditional level of development, you know exactly what is right and is wrong. And when you find these fundamentalistic ideas floating around, and people so convinced, you can sort of sympathize with them. Not that you find it true and right what they say, but you just have sort of compassion. Oh, they are still there where they believe there is a truth and there is something wrong, and
they make good traffic cops.
They make good police, yeah.
They do.
So I have another question for you here, because to me you are the expert of integral theory, and I haven't studied it, but I've studied like Buddhism and spiritual traditions. It seems to me that the higher level of certain spiritual traditions coincide with integral theory. What can you say about that?
In some ways they do. It's not a matter of where they agree, it's a matter of where they leave stuff out. Because the Eastern religions grew up in a different tradition. And they go through each of the stages too. I mean, if we went to Siam today, we could see the parties fighting each other in the streets, in Thailand, the terrible conflict, and they're all Buddhists, That's another story. But the thing is that the Eastern traditions have stressed this spiritual development. And when you think of the world that they grew up in 2,000, 2,500 years ago, life was so cruel, so difficult, that the escape was to withdraw from the world and not expect anything from the world, and to learn to be content with oneself and what one could do, and live inside, in spirit. It was an escape in many ways. And this is something that religion can do, and it does it well. But they never got to the point of developing a psychology, really.
Psychology is their way of psychology, but not the growing up part.
Not the growing up part.
The waking up part, they're really good.
That's right, yeah. The waking up, yeah, you bet, I'm enlightened, too bad about you. but growing up, well, I still think like an 8-year-old, and there's nothing wrong with that, even though I'm 37,
But there are actually levels on the teachings that actually very, very similar to what you're talking about. And then what you're talking about here is the sutra teaching, and most of the Buddhists in the world belongs to that. But the high teachers, let's say, there are people who actually can, they have compassion with the person who is not as realized as them, and then they try to help them up to that level. And so I personally experienced that. So
I think that modern Buddhist teachers are not any more than 30 years ago when they came over, or 40 years, 50 years ago when they come over from the East. They have learned something too. So they are integrating this knowledge to the Western. I mean, what is going on is that the Western traditions and societies adopt the Eastern, which has happened with in the 60s, more or less, and the other way around. So this is okay, But what was, to make the point, one of the main reasons why Ken Wilber began to study these things was he believed in that meditation, and he's a big meditator and
from way back,
Buddhist and everything, and he thought this would be the way, waking up and then it's everything fine. And then he noticed that, highly realized, enlightened Zen masters in Japan, they proclaimed killing others in the war. He said, oops, there is something. They preach compassion, and then they are fans of the war and killing others. And he found out that, yes, spiritually they have that, but as a growing up level, they were still in the ethnocentric level, in the traditional level, we against them, and we have to fight them. And so he said, the waking up alone cannot be. And so he really began to put together psychology, which we have developed very well in the Western countries, with that spiritual teachings of the East, and to find out that one cannot substitute the other. Only psychology, only psychotherapy, only meditation, but both together and some other practices together, that's it. That is you can get the most out of it. Otherwise, you leave out one essential part of your life.
a strange business when some of these Eastern masters came to California in the 60s and 70s, and they started teaching groups, and people would come to them. These were people, sophisticated, postmodern people who were very, very socially sensitive, who were well past the modern age themselves. And they came and they learned at the feet of these pre-modern masters, who or just, hit you on the head with a stick, That was their compassion, and of course many of these people just reveled in the luxury of the West with fine cars and lots of sexual activity and just what we would call the way a football player would act, so they were spiritually advanced, but the Western students were socially advanced in their own development, and so there were some very curious combinations of students and teachers in those days.
But the teachers are also they're individuals, and if they claim that they're spiritually awake and then are not, they will find it out by actually meeting these kind of students that they meet. But there are also a lot of teachers that actually have integrated this particular thing with teaching in the West, and are very, very good at it. So there is those teachers too.
Yes, I'm talking about a generation ago, really.
Yeah. Because, for example, the world leader Dalai Lama, he would never do that.
No, he wouldn't. But you know what? Such things as homosexuality, he finds abhorrent. Even today. Yeah. So that's just where he's at. That's Tibetan society, and it serves a purpose in that society. But it doesn't fit the modern world very well.
So it's not yet all-inclusive, let's say. The levels of development you can measure in how many parts of the world, how many people are included in the
circle of care.
Circle of care, yeah. And as long as there are some excluded or less
privileged.
No, I wouldn't say privilege. Something is wrong, completely wrong with them.
They are less.
They are less. Yeah. Then it is a little bit of a problem. No, it's the exclusiveness. And when you go down in the level of development, there is ever more excluded. And when you go up in the level of development, it's ever more embraced. So you can see the level of development of a person, how much they can embrace. If they embrace only the family, only the country, or then the religions, who is part of the religion, or if they embrace the whole world, if they take care for environment and so on, or if they even take care for the whole cosmos, for the whole universe, if this is in their mindset. And I think you, Margherita, and us, we are sort of awakened to that. We want at least to bring out the message to people in the world, to maybe not to somebody on the moon, if there is somebody.
All humanity. Certainly.
All humanity. And we can sort of include the vision that there is a bigger thing than only the Earth and this stellar system, solar system, which are here. We can imagine that there is a bigger reality, and take it for serious. So, sort of opening up to even more. And
so I hear the answer here to my question about the similarity between integral theory and, let's say, spiritual tradition is, if a person can be, let's say, enlightened, they can go and do it, but they don't necessarily need to include everyone, because some of the teaching says that this teaching cannot be taught to all people. It could only be taught to a certain number of people who have quite a good realization. So that's perhaps where it differs between integral theory and the Buddhist higher teachings. What do you think about that?
I think that integral theory includes spiritual teachings, but it's not the same. It is more than that. It's embracing more parts of life, and not only the spirituality. Spirituality is an essential part, You know, but it's not only. I want to respond here to Becky.
Becky, okay.
Okay, do you want to read that?
Becky Coleman says, I notice that many G+ communities have embraced and adopted the integral methods. Now the fine friends here are spreading back into older platforms. Facebook is awakening too.
Yay! Good for Facebook.
Good for Facebook. But you know, Becky, I don't know. I haven't met so many people yet on Google Plus who are really interested in integral worldview.
But we can find them and talk to them.
We are trying to do that. I see many green people operating here, and one of my personal endeavors is to get more integral people here, because I think this is the platform where we can find each other better and we can get the message out, because as soon as we post our posts, for instance, for that I have created the community which is semi-public, half public, because what is posted there is searchable in Google. People can find it by chance when they punch in integral or something, what we are talking about, the topic. When we learn to put the right hashtags in, people can find that. While on Facebook it's a little bit more difficult to find the things. And even what we are here on the stream, on the comment stream, unfortunately it's not findable. But generally, on Google+, we have the possibility to not just speak with people who we already know, but to find strategically the people who, and they can find us, the people who are interested in the topics in a much different way. And I'm doing my best to learn all the strategies and to learn how it works. And I'm so happy that you are here and joined us in the community, and we ask you to
join us tomorrow. Come tomorrow.
Help us to spread the worldview.
Yeah. Okay, Becky.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything against Facebook apart from the fact that I just don't like it.
Well, I'm a fan of Facebook, so I can say something to that in that regard. Is that Facebook is not really community-oriented. It is not. The way it's set up, where one conversation follows another down a thread, you know, it's boop, 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 boop. And I know many integral people on Facebook, and they get involved in these head conversations that go on for meter after meter after meter. And that is not a community. People are saying things, and sometimes they agree with one another, but mostly it's just a parade of integral personalities and very male approach. And
and the difference what I see is that we have here the possibilities to really talk to each other in person very easily. As soon as we have understood how Google Plus works, we can create these hangouts, we can stay together, see each other, talk to each other instead of hacking words into the keyboard. But you have another comment here, let me see.
Becky, right?
Yes, Becky. She's saying there are also many who use the theory for negative purposes.
Absolutely. You can use everything for all purposes. And unfortunately, let me get that back.
If you're a Madison Avenue salesperson, you can learn how to appeal to people at every level of development and exploit them for your benefit.
It's like psychology. The deep insights in psychology are used for manipulating people. Like yesterday, what I presented as the let's say feminine power practices, they can be used for growing your ego. You know, unfortunately, the tools are not a guarantee that they are used well.
No.
So we come to the end of our episode here, and I really appreciate this communication and conversation with you guys so far. And what would your takeaway be here?
My takeaway is that we never really got around to talking about creativity itself. You know, we have to wait for next week on that one, I think.
My takeaway is that I have to remind people, even if they had been on hangouts with me, like Paula was, for 4 or 5 times, that in every time I have to write again, please come a half hour earlier, and your time is that time and not not mine.
But anyway, I have another takeaway too, Margherita. I seldom get a chance in such an unstructured, relatively unstructured, off-the-cuff, spontaneous way to just go on and on and on like I have today. And once in a while, that's a real treat, a real treat.
So Heidi and Mark, I want to thank you for your collaboration. And you know, if you have a mobile phone or an iPhone like I have, there is something called Time Buddy. Install it on your device, and then you get it all right. So
to Paula.
yeah. So I want to thank everybody who came here to watch this episode, to show up. Next Thursday we have our hangouts at the same time every week mostly, and look out for the new episodes that comes every week. And this is a milestone today, episode 60. I think we should be
70, not 60.
70. Sorry.
Another milestone.
Another milestone, 70. Yeah, we had 69 last time and 70. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still back in the 60s. So thank you, everyone, and let's see us next week.
Okay, and we hope we can invite Paula to be there next week.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.